Penetration testers and ethical hackers need the ability to crack passwords. In this demo, we're going to cover some ways to crack passwords in Linux and Windows. One of the most popular password cracking programs is John the Ripper. It combines a number of password crackers in one package, auto-detects password hash types, and includes a customizable cracker. You can run it against many encrypted password formats, including several password hash types commonly found in Linux and Windows. You can also run John the Ripper against access passwords for compressed zip files and documents. John the Ripper is a command line tool. There's also a GUI-based version called Johnny, which uses the underlining features of the command line version. Both are included with Kali Linux. We're going to use the command line version. First, we need to open up a terminal. Now I want to point out the password file. When we do a dictionary attack, our cracking program needs a word list, a list of potential passwords to refer to. So we need to switch to the folder where the password list is stored. Now, by default, on Kali Linux, the word list is located in the /user/share/John folder. To get there, I need to switch to that directory by typing cd/user/share/John, and then press enter. Now, if I type ls, I'll be able to see the contents of this folder. I'm looking for this file, the password.lst file. Now we're going to go back to the root directory. I can do that by just typing in cd. I actually like to keep my terminal screen cleared off, so I'll clear the screen. Next, if I type in John, I get a list of some of the different options that I can use with John the Ripper. If you need to know something about a command syntax, this page might help you out. Okay, we're ready to crack our password. You might think that passwords would be stored in a folder called passwords, but they're not. Linux passwords are kept in the /etc/shadow file. So to crack the passwords on this system, I just need to type in John/etc/shadow and press enter. And see, that only took a few seconds to crack. It says it loaded two different passwords from two different salts. Now, if you remember, if a hash is salted, that means that there's extra data added to the hashes because there are two identical passwords being used here. Hashes are salted to make passwords unique in the system. Down here, we can see that I found the password for the root user. Now, depending on your system, this process could take a lot longer. My password just happens to be towards the top of the list in my password.lst file. Let's go ahead and jump over to a Windows system and crack a few passwords from there. We're going to look at dictionary attacks, which use a dictionary file, and brute force attacks, which use every potential combination of letters, numbers, and special characters. And remember, there are many hybrid attacks that mix these techniques in various ways, but we're just covering the basics here. Let's start with a dictionary attack. We're going to use Cain, a popular program that's also known as Cain Enable. When you're installing Cain Enable, Windows will give you all types of warning messages. You'll have to disable your Windows firewall and your antivirus software. Your antivirus will most likely recognize Cain Enable as malicious software and quarantine the files required for it to run. Now, once you launch Cain Enable, you'll see all your password cracking tools. We're going to go to the Cracker tab up here. We're interested in the LM and the NTLM hashes. Next, let's go up here and click on this plus sign to import hashes from our computer. Here, under Add NT Hashes, we can add hashes from our local system. We can also check this box to include password history hashes, so that if users are required to change their password every 30 or 45 days, previous password hashes are included during the import. Okay, you can also import hashes from a text file. So if you have access to another system, you could potentially collect hashes from that system, dump them into a text file, copy them to a USB device, and then load them here and attempt to crack the passwords. You can also import from a SAM database by checking this here. Right now, we're just going to import hashes from our local system. You can see that it just loaded all the local accounts I have on this system. If you see empty under IT passwords, that means that there's no password for that account. If the field is blank, that means that a password is assigned to that account. We're going to use a dictionary attack to see if we can retrieve the passwords for the Mrs. Worley account. I'm going to right-click on that account, hover over Dictionary Attack, and then go to NTLM Hashes. Now I'm going to go up into this white space, right-click, and select Add to List. Okay, so before I started this demo, I downloaded a list of passwords from the internet. This file is a list of 10,000 common passwords. It's estimated that 30% of all the passwords are included in this list. If you look down here, you can see that it's going to scan for the passwords. If we check this box here, it will look for the exact password. So if my password is cat, that's what it's going to look for. Below that, it will reverse the password, so instead of cat, it would look for TAC. Double passwords are just a password typed in twice. You can also have it search for all lowercase passwords, search for all uppercase passwords, or even have it put in numbers that commonly replace letters in passwords. With all these combinations, we're really going to use a variation of tens of thousands of different passwords. Okay, let's click Start. Now, depending on your computer's processor, memory, and capability, this process can take a very long time. To save time, I actually edited that file and deleted most of the passwords with this scan. All right, you can see the scan finished, but it didn't find the password. But that's a good thing. It means my password isn't a dictionary password. Okay, so since that didn't work, let's exit and try a brute force attack. Okay, we'll right-click on Mrs. Worley's account, hover over Brute Force Attack, and select NTLM hashes. Here's a predefined attack. You can see that if I click here, we can add to our options. We only have lowercase letters and numbers. We also have lowercase with numbers and special characters. Now I have lowercase, uppercase, numbers, and special characters. I'm going to brute force from 1 to 16 characters. This system is a virtual machine with a single processor and not much memory, so it's going to take a long time. Let's click Start and see what happens. All right, down here on the left, you can see it's going to take years. See that? Years to cycle through every variation and crack this password. We actually don't have years to wait, so let's stop this process and try something else. All right, to crack the password faster, we need to customize our attack. I'll get rid of these characters. Let's say I was doing some shoulder surfing and I happened to see that Mrs. Worley was typing in a password, and I noticed 3 things. I saw that she typed in TEACHE and that she didn't use any letters from U to Z. Now, I also saw that her password wasn't very long. So we're going to brute force with these letters and use 6 or 7 characters. We also know the first several letters of our password. Of course, you probably wouldn't have all this information, but to save time, I've made these adjustments. I'll go ahead and click Start, and we will attempt to crack this password. Okay, you can see it's going to take a few minutes to complete, so I'll pause the demo and let the attack run. Okay, our scan has completed in just under 3 minutes. You can see that the password it found was the word teacher. Of course, knowing the first several letters of the password, like we did, isn't common. I simplified the attack for time's sake, but it's often possible to gather enough information to brute force a password in a few days or even a few hours. Okay, that's it for this demo. In this demo, we introduced John the Ripper and used it to crack a Linux password. Then we switched over to a Windows system and used Cain and Abel to crack a Windows-based password. You can see how, if users leak just a little information or use easy passwords, hacking tools can get you into restricted systems and files in no time.